welcome to the women's devotional.
It's just for women?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm much more relaxed now. Okay, let's do
Why
this.
would you be more relaxed just for women? Men are more scrutinizing.
No.
Maybe if your haircut.
Oof.
Sorry. Okay. It's coming back in. It's good. Anyway, my name is Megan Johnson, and I am the women's lead at Reach, and this is my husband, Stephen Johnson. And hi. And tonight's devotional is called What's the Story? And it's a little plug because in the fall we are going to be having a teaching series with just a team of women that are at Reach that are going to be leading a series called What's the Story? And so I just wanted to go first as far as like, what's the story with us? What's going on with us? What's new? COVID, a lot of stuff can happen between this month and this day and that day. And so we just wanted to bring you up to speed on some family stuff that we've, some exciting things that are going on with our family. Yeah. So why don't you explain what's exciting, Stephen? What's exciting in our world?
Yeah, we moved 3 hours east. We are now, I guess, 509ers.
Well, not technically because...
we haven't changed our phones.
No, I will not. I've had the same number since high school.
That's awesome.
It is.
And, but yeah, we moved to Chelan. And for those that don't know us or those that do, Chelan has always been a place that we've been fortunate enough to visit. Megan's family's had a little condo in Chelan for years that pretty much our entire dating and married relationship. This has been our getaway. Mm-hmm. We always kind of looked at this place as maybe a place that we would settle down, after kids were out of school and things of that nature. But we accelerated that timeline.
Did we?
We did.
We did. Well, we were just talking before we started recording about how sometimes when big change happens, and I've been having a lot of conversations with people, whether within the life of our church or without, that this is a time where you really just kind of evaluate what your life is doing and what you're doing in it. And sometimes I think what is cool about our big change is that we didn't set out to do this grand master plan. We didn't have like a bullet point list of like, well, here's the houses and here's the square foot and this is the timeline. And God really, really took over the planning for us. And so this was a surprise for us as a family. We ended up just exploring one day and going and looking at 11 acres that's irrigated to possibly be some kind of...
I'm a farmer.
We're farmers now. See, we would not have put that in the plan. Anyway, and we walked on this property, and I struggled because I was having kind of a spiritual experience that I couldn't explain because it didn't fit into our plan at all, actually.
Just so you know, my first response when we walked in the house was, I hate everything about this place.
Yeah, that was verbatim. I hate everything about this place. So how did you
married a visionary?
He did.
Yeah.
He married a visionary. So, and speaking of visionaries, so I, for those of you who have come to any women's studies, I'm a huge fan of spiritual disciplines and prayer journaling and experimenting with prayer, contemplative, imaginative, meditative, any kind of prayer. I love, like, woo, it gets me excited to experiment. But I was in a season of just imaginative prayer journaling with Jesus, and he kept on showing me this picture of this beautiful mountain vista, and it was particularly on days that I was really tired or exhausted, and I would go to him in prayer, and it was just kind of like, this is where I would go with him to rest, I guess. And originally when I saw this vista, I didn't think it was anywhere specific, and I thought it was California. And
did you tell me about this prayer?
No.
Why not?
Because you've always wanted to move to California. And guess who didn't? Me. So I kept on seeing it. I'm like, oh, that just must be nothing. That's nothing. But I kept on seeing this kind of, dry climate vista in my prayer times. And it brought me a ton of peace. And I was like, it's working for me. I don't think I need to dig much further into that. Move on, But then when we stepped on this property for the first time, and I looked at the view, and I'd seen it before. And that sounds weird and creepy, especially if you're new to the church or if you don't experience God in that way. But it wasn't creepy or weirder for anyone but me, like more than me, because I was like, I've seen that, and I have no idea. I still didn't even really know what that meant for us, but I definitely felt like there was something happening. I think the first time that we were there, And then from then on, it was just a lot of like praying and investigating and asking like practical questions like, does this financially make any sense? And roping in people that we love, and having conversations of like, man, what does this look like for us and our family? Yeah. So yeah, it's, I guess I'll ask you, but like when do you know it's time to make a change, or when a season's ending? Like for you, what was something that was like, I think I might be ready for something new in this next season?
Well, I think that, again, this really wasn't part of the plan. And to say that it was like, oh, we felt the need for this big change, it was more of,
that's true.
We started down, we asked a question, and then we got a response. And then we asked the next question, and we got the next response, and we got so we kept having these series of questions about, there's all these things wrong with the house, and that can't, that's a problem, and the distance is a problem, the schools are a problem. There's all these issues, and what I found, where we kept taking steps out in faith, we kept asking questions. God kept responding in ways that opened the doors and allowed us to continue to walk through them. And I feel like that's like sort of cliche to say, but man, that was my experience. And this was kind of the first time I've ever experienced something like that, where you kind of have, I explained it to some friends, and like in my DNA, that it was just kind of a pipe dream, and it went from a pipe dream one day to being we made an offer, and they accepted the offer. And so what was, I guess, so inspiring about this whole process is we took a risk, we leaned in, and we kept getting
yeses. And I was fully expecting a no, multiple no's. And I think that's what's interesting too about, this too, no plan, a ton of yeses, and things just kind of working out. But not to make it sound like it was easier than it was. I told him he's going to have to give me like a minute to do an exegesis real quick on some biblical perspectives that I'm drawing from all of this. But I find it interesting, and this is just one example, but in 2 Samuel 23:15, David is at the very end of the story. And so David's lived this very lavish life as a king, and he's had his moral failures, but he's had his, heroic war successes. I mean, he's seen it all. And one of the things that he says at the end of his life is it not true that my house is with God? For he has established a permanent covenant with me, ordered and secured in every detail. Will he not bring about my whole salvation and my every desire? And if you stop there, you're like, whoo, I want in on that Christianity thing if that's what it's all about. But if you go a little bit further in the story, the chapter ends with this terrible plague coming on David's kingdom, and him having to get out on the threshing floor and do this altar and this sacrifice to the Lord. And he says, I will not offer to the Lord burnt offerings that cost me nothing, right? And so I think that's another thing too, is there's a cost to God's gifts. Whether they are good and whether they are wonderful and unexpected and exciting and all of those things that they are, there's a cost. And that's what they don't always tell you when you see like those, those really exciting inspirational quotes on Instagram of like, follow your dreams and in the process lose your heart. It's like, I'm exhausted. They don't tell you that every single day when we're saying, every single day we were asking a question, every single day we were gearing up for God. We were allowing the space for God to say no. And there's that tension of like, will we be disappointed, right? Will he are we hearing wrong? Or will he take this away? Are we going to hurt somebody's feelings? And like not to or downplay, that cost and that sacrifice. Yeah. For sure.
Well, it was also the fact that, today we experienced, our realtor called it a bump in the road.
Yeah,
where our house.
We don't need to go into.
Well, no, but it's like the house was supposed to close on Thursday, and now it's maybe going to be 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
And there's challenges that come with that, and there's stress that comes with that.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're going to get through this. We'll continue to pray about it. I do feel like that God has led us down this path to this point, and certainly isn't promising that every single thing is just going to be completely easy. And yes,
I have a story. So the first day that I went to the property, as like we were actually had our stuff there and we had moved it there, and it was the same exact day that we had moved our stuff onto the property, which was a couple of days ago. I go in to open up a drawer to find some keys or some brackets because I was
Sweetheart, they're in the top drawer of Jameson's dresser.
Yeah, he's like, I know exactly where the thing is that you're looking for. It's in the top drawer in the dresser in the storage thing. Okay, great. Just going up there, open it up. A rat pops out into my face, and I
claws her eyes.
No. Oh my gosh, no. I scream, I grab a bag of rat poison and just throw it everywhere. I get in the car and I scream because I'm so scared. And I had a conversation with God, albeit brief, in the moment of
Was this before or after you broke our windshield?
It was around the same time.
Okay.
We had a windshield crack issue at the same time. And I thought to myself, he's brought us here to kill us. So anyway, just to say, like, what gift?
There's a chance that you might not even see this video.
Yes, we might
not make it through.
We might not make it through. All that to just give you a really realistic picture of when God calls you to do, something that looks a little bit different, maybe much different than what you're used to. He really is in the driver's seat. Like you ask the questions and you move in the direction, but really it's ultimately up to him whether he wants to give you a gift or not, right? And I think you have to be like, okay, great, like God has gifts for me. And then you at the same breath have to say, okay, am I willing for whatever cost or sacrifice that might require? Because it's not that he gives gifts with strings attached. It's that he gives gifts that are actually meant to develop you more into Christ. And so that means that there's going to be things along the way that are hard and that are costly. And, I think one of the costs for me is relationally. Like obviously I'm 3 hours away now, so proximity is a bit of a thing. I'm still hoping to commute, to come back and do teaching and preaching when I'm able, and to be around in whatever capacity that makes sense for our church family. Like I'm wanting to do that, but also it's like I don't get that face-to-face time with my DNA or with my friends that have truly become family, and I just feel like God is calling us to this community. I can't tell you how many cool conversations. I'm going to go out with a girl this week with kids that are the same age, and she, she's a believer, and I just happened to meet her, and you've had insane conversations that are with like people you work here, you do CrossFit
people on
coaching.
city council. They're like, we should meet and figure out how we could plug into the community. We're like, we should do that.
We should do that, and then
so we meet tomorrow.
You meet tomorrow. He's meeting with the city council tomorrow. I have a meeting in 3 weeks with the mayor. I'm going to be on the board of trustees.
Technically, he's the former mayor.
Former mayor. Okay, that I didn't know at the time. But I'm a part of the committee for the affordable housing that they're building in town to make it affordable for more young families to come here to live and to raise their families. It just feels like we're supposed to be salt and light here for this season for whatever reason, and we also don't get to know the reasons sometimes when God takes over the plan. And so, yeah, that's the story, I would say, of what's been going on with us. If you have any questions or anything,
just raise your hand right now.
Just raise your hand. No. Feel free to email me or text me, megan@reachchurch.cc. Don't text him or email him. He's too busy. But I am available. But anyway, we just wanted to bring you up to speed because we do consider this church our family. And we are very excited and also just very, just looking back on this season of really close proximity with great affection and great joy and great gratitude and great thankfulness. And I feel like really that time in that community has equipped us to know how to love this community. And that's the one thing actually with questions, circling back to questions, is we showed up and both of us feel like the only question that makes sense in this new community is how can we help? And that's kind of every conversation we have, that's how we kind of enter into it. How can we help? And so I think...
Lord knows we'll need help.
Yeah, there's rats.
I'm a farmer.
There's rats. And he's not a farmer, and we might die. Yeah. But we are excited, and we actually really do feel called, and that we're willing to learn and to kind of be put through the ringer for whatever gifts God might have on the other side of this. So anyway, so thank you for letting us just share our story and our heart. And then just takeaways. I already asked the questions once, but something to maybe be thinking through yourself. if you're longing for big change or if you're terrified of it, either way, I think the questions could be, what gift may God be wanting to give you in this season that you're just too scared to ask for, or you're just not sure He's that kind of God? And then if He did give it to you, what would you be willing to give up? What might that require you if you just look at it practically, situationally? And is that something that you're willing to step into? Because if you do, and we're not, too far down this road, but I do feel like there is deeper intimacy in your relationship with Jesus and with one another. I do think that there's, I can just tell for our family that this is going to be unifying, and that we're going to be in this together, because we only know each other really well at this point, but there will be deepening of, relationships and bonds. And I'm just looking forward to seeing what He does here. We don't fully have the big picture of, we know exactly why we're here and what we're doing. And that's another cost of seasons ending or making a big change. Okay.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks. You're welcome. Do you want to pray for us, or do you want me to pray for us?
Yeah, I'll pray.
Okay.
Dear Lord, thank You for this opportunity. Thank You for Reach Church. What an amazing blessing this church family has been to us. The amount of people that have poured into our lives and that have lifted us up and raised us up, and that we've come to with our fears and anxieties, and how we've grown so much because of this church family, because of the leadership, because of each and every person that we've had the ability to host at our house or been hosted at theirs. So Lord, pray for this next season, that doors continue to open, that we walk out in faith, and know that You're a God who wants great things for us, and that we just need to continue to serve and love one another. And we cast everything up to You in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Good prayer. All right. See you next week.
Bye.